Some of you've asked, how do I feel since purchasing the a6400, especially when the a6600 was recently announced? So do I have any regrets? Do I feel like I made a mistake? And for those of you that need to make that buying decision and you're wondering where to spend your money, well, I definitely have something for you on this one, so let's go. What's up, you amazing humans? Welcome back to the channel. It is so great to see your gorgeous faces around here. And hey, if you are new around this channel, this is a place where I help entrepreneurs with their creative endeavors, helping you build and scale, elevate, and do those things that matter. What matters today is the fact that do I regret this purchase of the a6400 with the Sony a6600 having been recently announced? Let's just cut to the chase. I do have a couple cutaways where we're going to be talking about the stabilization. I'm going to do another quick comparison. I've already compared the 6400 and 6500 against each other, so I do have those that video up. And what I also want to talk about is that I went ahead and did another field test for you, because I do not have the 6600 right now. I'm trying to procure a test unit, or at least have to get one sent to me. So I'm working on that because I do want to test that camera out. Right now, what I can say is that, to cut to the chase, I do not regret the 6400. Actually, I still think this is the camera right here, and I will give you my reasons why. Because I want to help you make a buying decision. I also want to help you feel okay about the decision that you've probably made if you've purchased it, and now you're just like, come on, the 66, what? Listen, the gearheads, we know, we get it. The Sony a6300 was announced in early 2016, and of course that was the bump up from the 6000 and getting 4K, but it didn't have the IBIS. And then just a few months later, Sony announcing the a6500 that had the IBIS. People that purchased the 6300, I'm sure they were pretty upset about that. Sony is repeating history here. 6400 was announced in April of 2019, and knowing, we follow the rumor sites, we didn't know what it was going to be called, the 6700, the 7000, something completely different. We knew a successor to the 6500 was coming, we knew it. And so of course in August and September, here we are, they've announced it, and it's coming out in the next couple of months. So what we know is, and of course Sony announced the a6100, we've had the 6400 here for the last several months, and then the 6600. So the 6100 and the 6600 were announced at the same time. And of course the 6100 coming, I just have to give it I just got to give it a little bit of credit here, coming in at $750 for an entry-level camera. The 6400 has been out for several months now, and the price point on the 6400 is $900, but you could likely find it gently used for around $750, maybe a crazy deal sale around $800, $850. So when you're looking at the price point of just a jump of $100, $150, I mean, I would still go for the 6400, because the 6100 and this is still going to offer you more than the 6100. So I kind of feel sorry for the 6100. I think if people are price shopping and they don't know what they're really looking for, I kind of feel bad for them, because the 6400 is going to give them a bit more there. Then let's talk about the 6600 with a price jump of $1,400. So we know that between the 6400 and 6500, there's a lot of similarities when we talk about the flip-up screen, and we're talking about the autofocus and the picture profiles. We know there's a lot of similarity there. And one of the things that, of course, well, not one of the things, a couple of things that stand out is, yes, the flip-up screen, and again, it's just amazing that these folks on stage are just trying to choke out applause when they're like, hey, we didn't get rid of it, we brought it back, and it's still in the 6600, huh? But the 6600 does have the continuous eye autofocus in video. It also has the Z battery in it that, of course, offers a lot more battery. And would I have liked the Z battery added to the 6400? You bet I would. Oh, and before you ask about the lack of 4K 60 in the a6600, I mean, come on, isn't the flip-up screen just enough? And we also know that Sony is saving that one for the a7S III, also known as the Unicorn. And of course, the 6600 does have the headphone out jack, And that I think is great for monitoring your audio from a professional standpoint. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about professional standpoint, because now this is like mid-tier and the 6600 is the pro tier. And the IBIS in it. So we've got the IBIS and the 6600. And that's where I've been watching some of these creators saying like, hey, it is the same IBIS that is in the 6500. We do not see the improvement. We don't see anything different. Does it offer some stabilization in the camera? Sure. So if you're using non-stabilized lenses, will that offer you some benefit? So let's actually quickly cut to a comparison with the 6400 and 6500, just a couple of different lenses. I've done a more detailed review, but I wanted to follow up on that. So let's check that out. Okay, so outside of the studio for a quick rundown.
What's a rundown?
We're gonna be doing a quick comparison here. I've got the a6400 on this side, a6500 right there, rocking the 16mm 1.4 on both of the cameras. That is not an OSS lens. So we've got the 5 axes of IBIS or stabilization in the a6500 right here. How's that doing when it's not a stabilized lens? Because remember the lens from my other video, that an OSS lens takes 2 of those axes and does the job and leaves 3 of the other axes in the a6500 to do that work. But right now, it's just the work of the camera. Moving back over to the a6400, handheld here, walking on a gravel path, non-stabilized whatsoever, just me walking and holding these 2 cameras together. No picture profile, but just keep in mind that the color science is a little bit different in the a6400 just because that's all been updated by Sony. So what do you think on that? No stabilized lens on either one. IBIS, no IBIS, no nothing. Okay, back for the quick rundown. 18-105, the Sony 18-105 is on the a6400. We're still keeping that 16mm, Sigma 16mm 1.4 on the a6500. So just IBIS over here. It's just IBIS. We're still handheld, walking on this gravel path. And the 18-105 with the OSS, it is optical steady shot in the lens. We are at f4 because I wanted to be fair because this is an f4 lens over here. So anyway, just wanting to see what you think. Let's move over to some lumpy grass. See what you think. What does the background look like? Is there too much shake? Is the OSS lens actually doing a better job than the IBIS in the a6500? I have a feeling that it might be pretty close. I just want to give you information that you can take to the bank, because you're going to be going to the bank a lot if you keep buying equipment that you don't need. Just trying to help you save a little bit of money, trying to help you make investments, good investments. Anyway, very lumpy grass. People wondering what I'm doing over here. I'm a professional. I'm helping these people make that decision. And let's decide for ourselves to get out of here, get back to the studio. Let's talk it out a little bit more, wrap this thing up. Okay, so what do you think about that? The IBIS versus the OSS, and really the 6500 having nothing stabilized on it but what's in the camera, and then adding that 18-105 to the 6400. I really do. I think OSS lenses, I think that the stabilized lenses are offering a huge benefit. And like while we're on the stabilization piece, let me clarify something for those of you who could be primarily video shooters or hybrid shooters. My thoughts are, when it comes to stabilized lenses or IBIS, the IBIS is going to serve you much better with photography, and specifically much better with photography when it comes to punching in closer. So I actually did a test where I was just doing handheld with the Sigma 16mm on both cameras. So these are not stabilized lenses, and then kind of punching in, and the autofocus is, like I said, it is sick in these cameras. I mean, it's amazing. And so I was getting some great shots. But what you'll find if you punch in on a lens that I put an 85mm full frame, so that's actually punching in at around 127 crop with the crop factor. And when you're doing handheld with video and even photo, you're gonna notice the difference. You're gonna notice the shake. So I did a comparison between punching in with the IBIS and the 85 and on the 6500, and then punching in on the a6400 without the IBIS, and that does not have OSS. That lens does not have OSS in it. and you can definitely see the shake. So it's there. So if you are zooming in, you're punching in on your subject, and like that's where I can see that the IBIS is going to be important to you. But for $900, and even like I said, used $750 to $800 for the 6400, folks, if you're doing professional work, if you're doing anything like vlogging, or well, and if you're locked off, like right now I'm locked off, I'm not using anything stabilized in that a6500, there's no benefit. So if you're doing a lot of locked off work, or you are doing a lot of professional work, I don't care if you have IBIS, you're gonna be needing a gimbal anyway. And the Zhiyun Crane M2 that was recently announced for like $269 will definitely house this a6400, not with a Sigma 16mm though, and not with the cage. I have a cage on this. And so without the cage and a kit lens, it'll be fine. But if you need the cage and then, you know, working with different types of lenses, you might want to move up to the Weeble Lab, which is $369 at this point, and that'll stabilize your camera. And then sidestepping here just for a second, when we look at the a6600 at $1,400 and the Sony announcement of that 16 to 55 at $1,400, $2,800, and you're calling this kind of like you're speaking to professionals. That's when you're trying to tease out this whole professional workflow, you might as well bump up to the A7 III and get yourself like the Sony Zeiss or like a Tamron lens, and then you're still under or around the same price point as the 6600 and that 16 to 55. I just really want you to walk away from this video and know that the decision of whether you purchase the a6400 and you're regretting it, or you feel like you should regret it with the 6600 being announced, or you're wondering whether to purchase the 6400 or the 6600, for me, honestly, and it's not just because I have this, and I am still going to try to get that 6600 to review, I still, for the price point, this is the way to go, because you pair this up with a gimbal and you can still get some great glass for this. You're good. You're good. What are your thoughts on this? Like, how are you feeling about it? What's your input? Are you regretting it? Do you feel bad? What do you think about this when it comes to the price point here, especially when, you know, the 6600 is starting to tease that Sony full frame? I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Hit me up with those questions and comments below. If you are new to the channel, I have got several videos that may speak to you, to your creative endeavors, so be sure to check those out. And as always, let's get out there and do those things that matter. Let's keep rocking those faces. I appreciate your time and attention on this one, and I will keep building this YouTube library right here. And until then, I cannot wait to see your gorgeous faces right back here.